Hi everyone and welcome to Crescent Dreams. My name is Andriana and today I'm going to be sharing my birth story with you all. I am currently 6 weeks postpartum today, so my daughter is 6 weeks old today exactly, and I thought it was finally about time for me to share my birth story. And she is napping in the other room, so I'm trying to get this done and tell the story as quickly as possible before she wakes up. So I was 30. I thought I just heard her. I might have. I was 37 weeks pregnant when I started having contractions. Also, I'm in my bathroom hiding so that I can talk and whatnot, sitting on the floor on a stool. That's why I'm a little like hunched over. So when I was 37 weeks pregnant, I started having contractions. They were never very consistent. Sometimes I would have them for a little while, like maybe 20 minutes apart, but they weren't very painful. And I did have a feeling though that she was going to come early, so I was thinking that maybe within like a week. So I was thinking maybe around like 38 weeks pregnant I was going to have her. And so I was having contractions for like 3 weeks before my due date. And then the two weeks passed and I still hadn't had her. I was having contractions here and there. I was starting to get very done with being pregnant. I was super tired. I didn't feel very good, as I didn't my whole pregnancy. I was still a little nauseous, not feeling great, having trouble sleeping, and just kind of like waiting for her to come. It's kind of a weird spot to be in because you're like almost there but not there yet. It's like so close but so far, and it's really mentally challenging to like make any plans for like the day or the week or anything, because you're like, it could be literally any moment now that things could start happening, or I don't want to plan on doing this or that tomorrow and then she comes tomorrow and then tomorrow comes but she didn't come, so I could have done the thing. So it was difficult. Anyway, so on my due date, like a few days before my due date, the huge like winter snowstorm that hit Texas came, and so on my due date we were snowed in. Obviously it wasn't in my area, at least I'm in northern Houston area. We only had like a few inches of snow, which doesn't seem like a lot, but there was also a lot of ice underneath, and here no one is prepared for snow at all, let alone a lot of ice and then several inches. It's very rare that there will even be like kind of a dusting here, so to actually get like inches of snow was crazy. We lost power 3 different times for 12 hours during that, so it got down to almost like 40 degrees in the house. And so before having her, I was trying like labor-inducing yoga. I was using certain oils in my diffuser. I was doing a lot of squats, going on a lot of walks, stimulating things to get things moving down there. So I was trying all the things, but then once that happened, we would not have been able to make it very far if she had decided to come. The birth center is like 20-25 minutes from my house, and with the ice on the road, since there's no trucks or anything to move it out of the way, there's no way that we would have been able to get to the birth center. And maybe, but we would have been like slipping and sliding off of the road if we tried, and it probably would have taken a long time, so it would have been really dangerous. And I know that I think lost power during that time. Luckily, nobody else went into labor until like the day that things started clearing up. So that was really good, because that would not have been very safe for anyone to try to make it there. But so my due date came, I still hadn't had her. I was very disappointed. But when the weather was like that, when we were stuck, I was glad that she hadn't come yet and decided to stay in. And then I knew that everything was happening for a reason, because if she had been born before that and like we were able to make it to the birth center like before that all happened, she would have been freezing. It would have been so like difficult to care for a newborn with the power going out and like it just being super cold. Yeah, it would have been a nightmare, and I feel very sorry for anyone who had a newborn or very small children or any children, or even just anyone in Texas who had to deal with all of that, who are not used to that. We had a bunch of pipes bursting and it was just mayhem. Anyway, so then a whole another week passed by again. I was supposed to have an appointment that week, but I had to miss it because of the roads. And then I already had an appointment scheduled for on the day that I was 41 weeks. And so the whole week leading up to that, every night I would have sort of consistent contractions, but they would be like 20 minutes apart for maybe like several hours. And I just kind of kept thinking like the next day it was gonna be the day, but it just wasn't. And then so the night before I was having contractions, and usually they'd be gone by the time I woke up in the morning. And I woke up and I was still having contractions. And then I had my boyfriend drive me to my appointment, and on the way there, so it's like about 20 minutes away, I had like probably one getting in the car and then like 3 in the car, and I was like, these are like kind of getting a little closer, like maybe like 10 minutes apart. I wasn't really keeping track, and I was just kind of like, this is like interesting, because I haven't really had any like in the morning like this. And so then I went inside into the birth center, and I was waiting for my appointment, and they were like 40 minutes behind because someone else was already giving birth, and they were having to tend to her, which is totally fine. But as I was sitting there, they were getting like more and more intense. So I was like kind of having to like hold on to the chair, and I was like having to sit forward and like sit back, and I was just like getting progressively more and more uncomfortable as I was sitting there. And I was like, I think that it might be the day, because this feels like they're getting closer and getting more intense. And I was just sitting there like just waiting to get taken back any moment. So then I got taken back, and my midwife, I told her what was going on and like how close they were and what I was feeling and all of that. And she said that she could check me if I wanted her to. It's really like up to you at the birth center that I went to, whether or not you want them to check and see like what your progress is. So I said yeah, just because I felt like things were happening. And then so she checked me, and I was already 4 centimeters. So she said that since I was 4 centimeters, she could go ahead and do a membrane sweep. And so she did do that. And it was very interesting because I kept seeing 222, 222, 1222, and I ended up having her that day on 222. And when she did the membrane sweep, it was 1222. So I kept seeing all those things for like a few weeks, like a month before this day. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. So she did that, and then she put some evening primrose oil on the top of my stomach, which she said was going to intensify the contractions, and that they did. Almost immediately they started getting super intense and closer together. So at that point they were like 7 minutes apart, and then she sent me home and said like, we'll probably see you back here later this evening, and really it's like up to you when you'd want to come in. So I got to home and I was pretty hungry, so on the way home, or when I got in the car, I was like, let's go to Whataburger, I need some food before this all gets going. So we went to Whataburger, and in the Whataburger drive-through, I had to turn around, like get out of my seatbelt, turn around and hold onto the seat and like, you know, get in kind of like a squatted position because it was starting to get super intense. Not crazy, but it was getting going, and I could tell like, okay, like this is happening and it's gonna happen like sooner than I think we thought it would at this point. So the line seemed like it took forever. We got our food, we got home, I ate, but I could not even finish because it was like they were starting to just be so consistent and closer together that I just like couldn't have a bite of food in my mouth like while that was going on. So I didn't finish my food, and then after I stopped eating, I had my boyfriend and we came over to my house from my parents' house, which is, we live in the backyard in the guest house, but we came over to our house and we gathered my bag, the baby's bag. We already had most of it together, but we just kind of like grabbed everything that was loose, made sure that we had everything ready to go for when the time came. I tried to lay down for a minute, no, not working. Then I got in my shower and I just turned the lights off, let the water run over me, and like let the contractions come, and I decided that I wanted to start timing them to see when I should call my midwife, because she said when they got to be like 5 minutes apart for an hour, that would be a good time to call and just let them know that, and then even still from there I could decide when I wanted to come. So I started timing them for an hour, and I already knew that they were very close together, but they were sometimes 2 minutes apart, and the longest they were apart were 4 minutes for that whole hour. And I was in the shower for most of that hour, and it was helping a lot. I felt really like relaxed. They were getting more and more intense, but I felt like relaxed and calm by the water running on my back. And so then I called them, I let them know how close it was together, and they told me, okay, like you can come in whenever you want at this point. It sounds like you're getting closer and closer, so it's really just up to you. Try to stay at home for as long as you feel comfortable, and then just call us before you come in. So I went back over to my mom's house after I took my shower and called them. I had my sister braid my hair. I was eating some grapes because I knew I needed to get like something in. I was drinking water, and then we gathered snacks and everything, and I decided, so my appointment had been for 11 when originally, and then I left to go to the birth center around like 4:30, so not very much longer from being there, getting the membrane sweep checked, and then going home and going back. So we drove to the birth center and with my sister, my mom, and my boyfriend, and on the way there I literally kept my eyes closed the whole time, and they were like all talking and like excited and just whatever, and I was just like zoned out, concentrated on breathing, like we're gonna get there, we're gonna do this, it's time, I got this, just like in my zone. And then we got there around 5, and baby's making noises, but my boyfriend is out there with her, so unless I hear her start really crying, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so when I got there, the contractions just were coming and coming and coming. So they were still trying to help the other woman who was there give birth, and okay, so here she is. She woke up from her nap. She's probably gonna start crying soon because she'll be getting hungry any minute, but she can come chill with us for now. Stella? Stella? What are you doing, huh? Oh, oh. No, you're not happy? Oh. You gotta poop. She's smiling. She has to poop. You can poop. So I don't remember exactly where I had left off, but when I was in the car on the way to the birth center, my sister started taking videos of various things that were going on. So I'll start inserting some clips of my actual birth mixed in with me explaining the rest. So we got to the birth center around 5 o'clock. I was consistently did not get a break from contractions from the moment they started in the morning until I gave birth. They were solid 2 to 3 minutes apart, and they were just getting like intense. So, you know, she was periodically checking the heartbeat. And just coming in and out and checking on me while she was also helping the other woman who was in labor. And it was so peaceful and so quiet and just like amazing that it was just like a big room, like imagine like your grandma's master bedroom, like a big bed, a little seating area, rocking chair, and then a big birthing tub and like toilet and sink area off in front of the bed. It was like so much space, and it, like I said, it was just so quiet and peaceful, and it felt really good that it was just like my mom, my sister, and my boyfriend. Super minimum amount of people. I was really lucky that they got to be there because during COVID, not a lot of people who have like hospital setting type births are able to have more than one person, and that's one of the main reasons why I did not want to give birth in a hospital setting, because I didn't want to have to choose between my mom, my sister, and my boyfriend, because all three of them were equally as important to my birthing process. And I knew going into it that like my boyfriend, while I obviously want him to be there for the birth, he's not gonna be that helpful. I didn't think, because he'd never even seen a birth or known anything about birth. My mom has given birth 7 times now, so I figured that she would be very knowledgeable, and then I wanted my sister to be a part of the experience as well. She's been at several births and is super helpful. So I didn't want to have to choose between them. So it was really nice that all 3 of them got to be there, and all 3 of them were amazing. My mom was reading me affirmation cards that I had.
There is power in their testimonies. True into the calm and confident chorus of women saying, "You've got this, Mama. You were made for this. We are with you in spirit. You are not alone. Remember, you are on a shared sacred journey."
I went ahead and picked which cards resonated with me the most and which ones I knew that I would want to hear while I was in labor, and I separated them out so that my mom could have those ready to read to me. And it was super nice to like just have her reading those. It was kind of like a guided meditation video was playing, and it was just nice to hear those nice positive things about myself, about my body, and about my baby, and about my birth. To hear those things, to think them to myself, but also to hear my mom saying those things to me was really nice and special.
We're so used to working things, a good job, a fulfilling relationship, a fit body, or any other goal. But when you're in labor, you really don't need to work it. Instead, surrender. Breathe, listen, wait, trust, and witness your birth. This is how to work your labor.
And my boyfriend and my mom, they would take turns putting pressure on my lower back, rubbing my back, just kind of like holding my hand. I was super in the zone. Like, I was not talking much throughout the whole thing. I was just focusing on breathing in 3, out 6, and just staying in the zone. Telling myself, like, the closer, like the more and more it hurts, the closer that I'm getting. And yeah, so I was just like visualizing the end result, visualizing the finish line, imagining holding her, imagining, like, a few weeks down the line, and then I got into the tub around, I want to say, like 7:30 or so.
Want the light lower, or are you good?
I think I'm good. Can I have like a cold washcloth?
Yes.
Because it was starting to get pretty painful. It was really warm in there. I'm a very hot person, and it was pretty warm in there.
Okay, thanks.
Bear down a little bit with it.
To do this, when she says bear down, that means
Big deep breath and push.
If you push him like this,
Push everything you got.
there you go. Good job.
Yep, bear down.
So they were kind of like taking the water, like from the bath, pouring it on my back, and they were switching out cold iced washcloths.
You know what you might want to, you can also use these handles right here too. It's okay. It's okay. Remember, you rock your hips. That'll help distract your body.
For my head, my neck, and my chest, they were taking turns, like rubbing my arms and stuff, and I was still, like I said, not talking, super in the zone, mostly with my eyes closed, mostly just breathing in and out. And when it would get super intense, I would just start thinking, like, I'm not here right now, like, this is just my body, like, this isn't like real. Pain is just it's just a part of the process. It's not like real, it's just telling me what my body should be doing. What am I gonna eat for lunch tomorrow? What's happening on America's Next Top Model? Can't wait to watch that when I get home, like that kind of thing. I was just trying to like really like detach myself from my body during the intense moments, so that when I would get a break, I could bring myself back to my body.
Push. Yep, just like that. Just like that.
That's perfect.
But it was just a very beautiful spiritual journey, process, transformation altogether. So like I said, I got in the tub at like 7:30, and then was in there just kind of like breathing, trying to like move through the contractions, just kind of like sway in the water and whatnot, try to like relax my upper body and not tense up anywhere through the contractions, still super close together. And then I don't remember exactly what time. I think it was just after 8, a little bit after 8, that I said I need to start pushing. And what I love about the birth center is that every birth I've ever seen, like if you want to start pushing, you have to wait until the doctor comes. in order to like set everything up and get everything ready and like be there. Sorry, I'm getting a little dry. But so I said like, I think I want to start pushing. So my sister went and got my midwife, and she came back and she like checked everything out, and she was like, yeah, you can start pushing. I'm gonna be over there basically with the other woman, because she was like, we could kind of hear her, and she was struggling, sounded like she was in a lot of pain, and I think she ended up having to go to the hospital. I'm not sure if she had to get a C-section or what happened, but I think that it was just a little bit too painful and too much for her. And I hope everything went well. I don't know who it was, but anyway, so she was checking on her and dealing with her, but I was still allowed to start pushing, which was great. And the thing that I loved about not having any medication, not having an epidural, just doing it naturally, was that I could feel, while it was painful and not exactly pleasant, I could feel what my body needed to do. So when I felt like I needed to push, I just pushed, and like it just felt like my body was in a rhythm, and like everything in me, physically, emotionally, like mentally, spiritually, was all communicating with each other to like work its way to be out. And it was just like, it was so much easier than I ever could have imagined. And but also not like, I don't want to say it was easy, because it was not easy by any means, but like when I was younger and when I would imagine birth, and seeing all of my family members who had medication, were in hospital settings, were like on their back in a bed, most of the time with epidural, just seeing those birth experiences versus mine, like I thought I was gonna be maybe a little bit in over my head, but after that experience, I would say that unless you have some crazy complication, I would highly recommend a natural birth experience, because it was so, I don't know what it's like when you have, assistance, but I felt so in tune with my body, and like it was just doing exactly what it needed to do in order to help me out. So that was great. So I was only pushing for not even an hour, because she was born at 9:06 p.m. And so I was not pushing for more than an hour. I was on my like knees, like facing out, like down in the tub, with my arms kind of like over the edge, but towards the end of pushing, I had been like that for almost an hour, since I had been in the tub, so I felt like I needed to switch positions, and I thought it might just be easier if I was like forward, so I flipped over, and my midwife was in there at this point when it was getting towards the end, and she was telling me that I was like so close and asking me if I wanted to feel, and I just kept saying no, because I thought she was just being nice and like trying to encourage me, like telling me like I'm almost there, but I felt like, if I check and it's like not as close as I think, then I'm just gonna be upset, and like no. So I just kept my eyes closed, just kept on focusing, and then eventually she was like, are you sure you don't want to feel, like you're so close? And I felt, and my water actually never broke, so what I felt when I reached down was not her head was right like behind the sac, but my water never broke until her shoulders came out, and it broke with her shoulders, which is like really rare, and I didn't realize until like after the fact when she told me like your water never broke until then, but that was like not anything that they were concerned about, which is crazy, because in a hospital setting they probably would have broke my water like way ahead of time, because I was overdue, and just because that's usually what they do if it didn't break on its own. But so yeah, so I felt it and I was like, oh my gosh, she really is almost here. And then it wasn't but maybe a few pushes later that then her head came out, and then the shoulders were definitely the most intense. painful part of that process. And then after that, she was like, okay, I'm gonna unwrap her because the cord was around her neck twice. And then she was like, okay, do you want to pull her out? So I reached down and I grabbed underneath her arms and I pulled her up, and the midwife helped me place her onto my chest. And yeah, so it was a beautiful, crazy experience. I felt so much relief. There was so much pressure, and it just felt like a butterfly out of a cocoon. It just felt like, you know, I made it. I'm done. And then, you know, her cute little head on my chest, and she started crying a little bit, and it was super beautiful. My boyfriend was behind my head and I didn't like see, but in the videos, like, he was crying and he was so happy, and he was like kissing my cheek and like proud of me and happy to see his daughter. And my mom was right next to me and my sister was right there, and she was crying, and it was just a really beautiful experience. And
There you go. There's a breath. There you go. Yeah. Oh. Sheesh, that was a lot of work, huh? Oh my goodness. You did it. She is long. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Oh my God.
so then I got to hold her in there for a little bit, and then I got, eventually the midwife took her from me and gave her to my boyfriend so that they could like get her weighed and checked out and all of that stuff, and he got to do some skin to skin before that, which was really cool. And they did delayed cord clamping as well, and he got to cut the cord. And then I got out of the tub and eventually went over to the bed, and I got to hold her and try to feed her. And it was only, I believe, like 3 hours or so, 4 hours after I gave birth that we got sent home, and that's pretty standard at most birth centers. So I just had to make sure that my bleeding was under control, that I got a good feeding in for her. She was all checked out. We got all the paperwork taken care of, and I got a good meal in, and I got enough rest, and then we were on our way. And it was really cool to be able to get to go home so soon and just like be at home, be like not having nurses and doctors and people checking, and I could just be in my own space with my family. It was really cool. And yeah, on the way home we got Whataburger at like almost 2 in the morning, and that was great. So started labor in the Whataburger line, and I took my baby home getting Whataburger on the way. So yeah, overall it was such a beautiful, great experience. I am so happy that I was able to give birth at a birth center with a midwife, all natural, and in water, in a tub, with my mom and my sister and my boyfriend. I got everything that I wanted and more. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my birth story and getting to see some of the videos from my birth journey. And I'm hoping to make some more videos updating on my postpartum recovery, on Stella's growth, and her progress as she gets a little bigger. Maybe I'll do an update at like 2 months for her and for me. And I also just want to make more videos about my experience at the birth center and doing a water birth and a natural birth. Just kind of like maybe some must-haves to take with you, some must-haves for pregnancy, some coping mechanisms, ways to prepare for natural labor, just different things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, and I look forward to making some more videos for my fellow natural mamas and anyone who's interested in me and Stella and our life together now.
9:06.
Oh, 9:06.
9:06:54. So
That was fast.